This is focused on CK10 Television, a youth-centric program designed to tackle challenges the youth face. And on today's episode, we would be looking at cultism among our youth. My name is Joseph Effiong, and I'm super excited because I still have my guest on the last edition, Dacosta Adeoye, the youth advocate, social crusader, and a media practitioner. Also with me is Uwana Michael, an author and the CEO and Front Express Ventures. Gentlemen, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for coming around.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Today we will be looking at cultism among our youth. And you will agree with me that the rate of cultism among our youth is disturbing. How did we get here, Dacosta?
We cannot but go down the memory lane, the years and in the days of when our universities were being established in the 40s, in the 50s, and in the 60s. People came together, young men, to start this group to protect themselves against oppression and to seek their common interest and wash one another's back. And that was how we got into cultism. I will not want to mention names or things like that. But over the years, we have seen that it has evolved. Ideologies have come and gone, and we've seen where it has landed us. Now it has grown to become a monster that is being so much difficult to curtail. And we have seen hooliganism, armed robbery, kidnapping, all rolling together into what we call cultism. The philosophy has changed totally from the underlying philosophy from the people that started it many years ago. And that is the problem that we are grappling with presently. And it's also at a point that the childhood of many of our children, our growing young population that are growing, are being taken away from them. So the only way they can express themselves, let me give you an example of what I'm saying. You know, in those yesteryears, we have some moonlight games that we storytelling, and there are no more.
Tales
by Moonlight in those days, all those cartoons, Voltron and things like that, all the Principal's Cup, the Governor's Cup, the entire sports, the original one of those days, that gives you the strength to express your childhood and even in your teenage years. Growing up is becoming boring, and people need to channel that strength into a particular area. So that's one of the few challenges that has culminated in what we are talking about.
Well, what's your take on cultism among our youth? How did we get here?
Well, frankly, I'm not a good historian, so I won't stand on the shoulder of Dacosta and say I know much about it. But frankly, I think that where I'm going to point out is we have left the values and the culture of our fathers. And that has caused where we are in that area of cultism. We don't have work values anymore. We want to get what we don't work for. Those days you see our parents, they farm. They can have maybe up to 3 wives, 4 wives, and they take care of every one of these women. But unfortunately today, because the young man wants to be like one of these celebrity and all that, he has influence in the community, he takes power when he's not supposed to. He can go about having 2, 3 girlfriends that he cannot take care of. You see, these things drives them to want to show much of power where there's no need, it's not necessary. And frankly, that fear of God, that when you are growing up, you're not supposed to have certain kind of relationship or friendship. You see, you go out, your parents are not there, you feel you have liberty to do what you want to do. Unlike those days, even if your father is not there, you can't do certain things because the fear that this is the home I am coming from. But it's not that these days. Nowadays, our youth are less concerned about values.
So, what's the way out, Da Costa?
The way out is to look at the whole process. How do we, I want to start from where he stopped.
Yes.
He mentioned something, Mr. Wana just mentioned something that is very important. The kind of home that you are coming from. And it is summed up in the saying of those days that when people talk about, remember the son
Yes.
of whom you are. It means so much to you to protect your lineage or your father's name in those days because the value system is there, the norms in the society. And when a child wants to go wrong in the community, the community will have disciplined him, the neighbors. And when your parents are approaching home, when they are coming back from work, you hear Baba Nnamdi, your son wants to misbehave with my son and I have disciplined both of them. And that ends the whole discussion. Nobody's going to come into the house to query you for beating their
Of course. Because the values are
their
there.
own children. Because except they want to add to the punishment. That has its effects, positive effects in raising our children in those days. When we're still talking about value system, you don't come into the community with unexplained wealth, sudden wealth. Nobody's going to celebrate you. You don't come home with what your parent doesn't buy for you. Nobody's going to commend you.
That was then.
That was then. But now is the opposite. The Landlord Association, we also celebrate a young chap that is coming into the community with SUVs, building houses that you cannot explain the source of the wealth. I'm not saying the wealth is questionable, but you should be able
To give account.
of how you arrived at this. And the society does not reward hard work again. So how do you encourage people to face their studies? How do you encourage people not to take to violence? When you oppress a child, that's another issue. On the days of growing up, he has a way of letting out his frustration and anger and things like that. When you abandon a child, when parents are too busy to see to the upbringing of their children, they can end up in all these hard groups that they ought not to find themselves.
So when I'm going by some of the activities that our young people are involved in, the Bado group that happened in Ikorodu, we've also seen the church that was invaded and people were killed, and these people who made that move were young Nigerians, young people who are supposed to be the leaders of tomorrow, because the youth of the nation are indeed the trustees of posterity. We've also seen young Nigerians our youth being used as political thugs to steal ballot boxes during election and all of this. Going by all of these things that have been happening, should we say that our values and virtue has eluded us?
Yes, I will say that has actually happened. And I will point to the abuse of civilization. We have abused civilization. In those days, our parents, they never have television. They didn't have the internet. There was no WhatsApp group. There was no Facebook. And definitely, these things in this our generation are supposed to be an added advantage to our development, but it has been abused. Look at the media, for instance. What are the media showing our youth? You see a young man or a young guy in a music video is sitting down maybe or lying down in a bed with a cigarette, or maybe I don't know much of the names, and all over a table is maybe some set of dollars, and hard drugs are displayed, and he's smoking. And you see one other corner, you see naked girls and all that. And maybe the other side, they will want to show you the cars, the exotic cars these guys are using. And this drives negative message to our youth, thinking that, whoa, this is how life should be. So the media has done a lot of harm than good to the young people of a community. The Western world are displaying this, and we are borrowing some of these content without thinking how we are going to use this to affect negatively our own culture.
Do you also agree that indeed the media has caused more harm than good, going by the happenings?
We allowed it as a nation. We permitted it. What are the census board doing? We have our own culture. I knew that there was a point in China that the Chinese government stopped many of the reality shows and talent hunt shows in China because they said it's not in tandem with the drive of the Chinese government, the vision of the Chinese government for their youth. They had to stop it. Nigerian government is doing a lot. We commend them, but they still have to do more by stepping in. And the census board has to look into many of this content, whether it is cable network, whether it is local stations, content that are offensive, content that will not promote our values, content that are injurious to the well-being of our populace should be stepped down, should be removed from what we are seeing, from being binned. And with that, we can drive. The media is very powerful. The media is good. We can't do without the media. But at the same time, we can drive positive content that can help development and the vision of the government that is in.
On that note, we'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue to have a healthy conversation. Well, it's still focused on CK10 television, and we've been looking at cultism among our youth. I still have with me our wonderful discussants, Dacosta Adeoye and Umana Michael. Please ensure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at CK10 television to join in on the discourse. Or my personal Twitter handle, Instagram is at official Joseph F. Young and Twitter at Longless. Before we went on the break, you were talking about the need for the census board to sit up and take responsibility to ensure that some of this content are actually screened, you know. And I want to ask, don't you think that the parents also have an active role to play? Or should we entirely blame the media? Because we all know that most of this content and movies are actually censored. The viewers' discretion are always advised. They have content for rated 16, they have rated 13, they have rated 18. So don't you think that parents also have a role to play to ensure that their kids don't watch some of these movies?
Well, I would say from the literacy level of the nation as a whole, how many parents understands that message? We look at the illiteracy level, the gap is so wide. So by the time you don't understand something, it's an abuse. So most of these parents can't even read. I get me. It is maybe the elites, they understand such message so they can stop their children. But if you look at the populations that are into this, they are the parents of the ones that maybe they are not really well educated to understand the meaning, the implication of that message. So even if you go to some of those homes, you see the parents sitting down and the children are also sitting down watching that same content. So it's a problem. The literacy level is what is causing that. I can't totally blame the parents because from where they are coming from, they don't even understand what that message is.
Do you also agree that the parents indeed have their role to play and also the media also have their role to play?
In totality, that cannot be carried. We don't need to argue about on that. That's the parents, the home. Not just only the parents, the home has a lot to do where you build values into your children, when you encourage your children to take decisions on the kind of content that are good for their well-being and upbringing. And the nod parents, we need to find solution to their problem. I call them the nod parent, not on duty parents. They are too busy. Daddy and mommy leaves very early in the morning. The house girl or the sibling takes charge, and the media becomes the virtual parents that are not there. You teach them this, then the media comes in from the Bible to teach them another thing, and some obscene content and things like that. So parenting also has a lot to do. The society, what we still celebrate, has a lot to do with correcting this.
So what's your final take on cultism among our youth?
Well, I think all hands should be on deck. The government should be able to tell what a particular content, because we're talking about civilization, we're talking about the media. The media is powerful. What should the young people be engaged? If you are bringing out content that is not really censored, are you getting me? Maybe based on your marketing, or you feel that this is what is obtainable, the trend, the government should be able to regulate it. Then back home, the parents should go back to the values of our forefathers. They didn't know most of those civilizations that we know today, but yet they raised up children. They raised up, and most of them are in the government houses today. Some of them are the lecturers we have today with good morals. Some of them are the religious leaders today. The morals are there, but why should they not allow their children to benefit that kind of parenthood that they had those days?
So are you saying that civilization has done us more harm than good?
No, I will not totally bet on that. It has to be, there has to be a check and balance in the system. We need civilization. Those days we can't go back to those days where we walk naked, where we trek long distance, where we ride on horses or camel. We need to drive car, we need to watch the TV, we need to check our Instagram, our Facebook. We need all those things, but they should be check and balance.
I think orientation too will do better. Let's orientate, let's enlighten, let's create awareness, let's paint the picture of a positive, the picture of a positive future to the Nigerian youth. You don't allow yourself to be killed. You don't allow your life to be wasted on campus, or you want to become the political talk to somebody that has his or her children abroad, and you are the one to wield the cutlass here. You are just like a firewood. When you are burnt out, nobody asks for you again. So when you paint the future, the possibility of a positive future to an average Nigerian youth, he wants to become that. I would rather choose that than going for cultism, and that would be a key solution to what we are talking about.
Well, it's been awesome here with the help of my discussants, Dacosta Adeoye and Uwana Michael, here at CK10 Television. With the help of my discussants, we've been able to look at the issue of cultism among our youth. Their take has indeed sent a message to the youth, the government, and parents to ensure that their children are not involved in cultism. Unfortunately, we have to part the curtain here, and but you can continue to engage with me on this topic via our social media handle. For Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is at CK10 Television. Or my personal social media handle. For Twitter, it is at Longlens, and Instagram, it is at officialjosepheffiong.com. I'm super excited and grateful to my technical crew, Odusonya Olubenga, Shubumi Arogudade, and Uche Nwabani. Thank you very much, guys, for doing a wonderful job. And also, I'm super excited and grateful to my superstar producer, Roland Dosumu. Thank you very much. Until I come your way again next time, keep watching CK10 Television. I remain yours sincerely, Joseph Effiong.